Living with diabetes really means you have to pay close attention to your diet, and that's especially true when we talk about vegetables. Now, while it's true that most vegetables are nutritional powerhouses and great for managing blood sugar, some types can actually cause your glucose levels to shoot up unexpectedly. So today, we're going to explore 5 specific vegetables that folks with diabetes should be a bit cautious with and understand a little better. 1. Potatoes. All right, first up, we have potatoes. Potatoes have been a staple in diets all over the world for centuries, and they definitely hold a special place in many of our favorite dishes. From those comforting mashed potatoes to crispy fries, you can't deny how versatile they are. However, if you're managing diabetes, this popular tuber can be quite a challenge. The main issue here is their nutritional makeup. Potatoes are incredibly high in starch, which our bodies quickly turn into glucose. This heavy carbohydrate load can cause a fast and significant jump in blood sugar levels, making them a food with a high glycemic impact. Now, how you prepare potatoes can make their effect on blood glucose even worse. Frying potatoes, like when you make French fries or chips, doesn't just add unhealthy fats. It often means you're eating larger portions, which really ups the carbohydrate intake. Mashing potatoes, especially the kind you get commercially that might have added milk or butter, can also cause a quicker glucose spike. This is because mashing breaks down their structure and increases the surface area for digestion. And even a simple baked potato, which might seem like a healthier choice, can still cause a big rise in blood sugar if you're not careful with how much you eat. So, for anyone with diabetes, portion control is absolutely key when it comes to potatoes. A good rule of thumb is to limit yourself to about 1 small fist-sized potato or roughly half a cup of mashed potatoes. If you find potatoes hard to resist, try pairing them with a good source of protein and fiber. This can help slow down how quickly your body absorbs the glucose. The good news is, there are plenty of healthier alternatives out there. Cauliflower, for example, can be mashed to a similar texture or roasted for a really satisfying side dish. Sweet potatoes are another option. While they're still starchy, they have a slightly lower glycemic index and more fiber than white potatoes. But remember, portion control is still very important. If you do decide to eat white potatoes, try to prepare them by boiling or baking them with the skin on, as the skin gives you some helpful fiber. Interestingly, cooling potatoes after you cook them can also increase their resistant starch content, which might lead to a gentler blood sugar response. 2. Corn. Next on our list is corn. With its sweet taste and satisfying crunch, corn is a much-loved ingredient in American cooking and dishes around the world. You'll find it everywhere, from summer barbecues to hearty stews. While we often think of it as just another vegetable, its nutritional makeup actually puts it firmly in the starchy category. This means if you're managing diabetes, you need to think carefully about corn. Just half a cup of corn kernels can contain about 21 grams of carbohydrates, and only a modest 2 grams of fiber to help slow down that sugar absorption. Because it's so dense in carbohydrates, eating corn can lead to a noticeable increase in your blood glucose levels, especially if you're not watching your portion sizes. It's also interesting to note that how corn affects your blood sugar can change depending on its form. Fresh corn on the cob or frozen kernels, if eaten in moderation, might be okay. However, canned corn often has added sugars or sodium. And processed corn products like corn chips, tortillas, corn syrup, or corn-based cereals can be major sources of refined carbohydrates and unhealthy fats, which can lead to even sharper blood sugar spikes. So it's really important to read those labels, because corn ingredients can be hidden in many processed foods, adding to your carbohydrate load without you even realizing it. For those with diabetes, the portion recommendations for corn are generally pretty similar to other starchy vegetables. You'll want to aim for about half a cup per serving. If you want to include corn in a diabetes-friendly meal plan, a good strategy is to pair it with lean proteins and plenty of non-starchy vegetables. This combination can help lessen the glucose rise. For instance, Adding a small amount of corn to a large salad with some grilled chicken, or mixing it into a vegetable stir-fry with broccoli and bell peppers can be a much more balanced way to enjoy it. And if you're looking for vegetable substitutes that have a similar taste or texture, you might want to consider options like diced bell peppers for that sweetness and crunch in salads, or perhaps some finely chopped jicama. Green beans or asparagus can also make a satisfying side dish with a much lower carbohydrate content, which will help keep your blood sugar levels more stable. 3. Peas. Let's talk about peas. Peas are often thought of as a harmless and healthy addition to our meals, but they can actually have a surprising impact on blood sugar levels for people with diabetes. Even though they're small and green, peas are classified as starchy vegetables. A single cup of green peas has about 20 grams of carbohydrates, which is a pretty significant amount that can cause a rise in glucose if you don't factor it into your meal plan. It's this starch content that makes them different from non-starchy green vegetables like broccoli or spinach. Now, the glycemic impact of peas, while generally more moderate than potatoes, is still higher than many other vegetables. This means they get digested and turned into sugar more quickly than their lower-carb cousins. When you're thinking about peas, the form they come in matters. Fresh or frozen peas are usually a better choice than canned ones, which might have added sodium or even sugar. How they're processed can also affect their impact on your blood sugar. For example, if you overcook peas, it can break down their structure, making those carbohydrates easier for your body to absorb. So portion control is really a key strategy for safely including peas in a diabetic diet. Try to stick to servings of around half a cup to help manage their carbohydrate contribution. It's also a good idea to pair peas with foods that are rich in protein and healthy fats. This can slow down digestion and the release of glucose into your bloodstream. For instance, adding a small portion of peas to a chicken and vegetable stir-fry or a salad with lean protein is a more balanced way to go than eating a large serving of peas by themselves. And here's a special word of caution about split pea products, especially split pea soup. Dried split peas are even more concentrated in carbohydrates, and soups made from them can be very dense in carbs, often with a higher glycemic load. This could potentially lead to a significant spike in your blood sugar. So, always make sure to check the nutritional information and be mindful of your portion sizes when you're eating these kinds of products. 4. White rice and refined flour products. Next up, let's discuss white rice and products made from refined flour. Now, these aren't vegetables themselves, but they are plant-derived starches that can really make diabetes and blood sugar control worse, sometimes even more so than many actual vegetables. We classify these as highly processed starches because they've been stripped of much of their natural goodness. If you look at their nutritional profile, you'll see they have a high carbohydrate content and, very importantly, very little fiber. This lack of fiber means they're digested and absorbed super quickly, which leads to a rapid and often sharp spike in blood glucose levels, and that puts a high demand on insulin. You'll find that common products containing white rice and refined flour are everywhere in many diets. We're talking about things like white bread, pasta, many breakfast cereals, pastries, and baked goods. For anyone managing diabetes, items like flour tortillas, naan bread, and of course plain white rice, are particular concerns because of their high glycemic index. You see, the refining process strips away the bran and germ from the original grains, and that removes most of the beneficial fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is mostly the starchy endosperm, which doesn't offer much nutritional value beyond carbohydrates that are very easy to digest. But there's good news. Whole grain alternatives offer a much healthier way to go. Choosing brown rice instead of white or opting for whole wheat bread, pasta, and tortillas can make a really big difference. These whole grain versions keep their fiber, and that fiber slows down glucose absorption, leading to a more gradual and manageable rise in blood sugar. Even when you're including whole grains, remember that portion sizes are still critical. A standard serving of cooked rice or pasta is usually about half a cup. Making the switch to lower glycemic options can be a gradual thing. You could start by swapping out one refined product for a whole grain version each week. And don't be afraid to experiment with different types of whole grains like quinoa, barley, or oats. This can add variety and nutrition to your meals, which helps support better blood sugar management and your overall health. 5. Fried vegetables. Our fifth point concerns fried vegetables. You know, many vegetables, in their natural state, are absolute champions of a healthy diet. However, when you fry them, that cooking method can turn these nutritional allies into significant blood sugar disruptors, especially if you have diabetes. Some common culprits here are things like French fries, which are fried potatoes, onion rings, vegetable tempura, and even those seemingly innocent breaded and fried zucchini or mushrooms. These dishes might be tempting, but they actually pose a double threat to managing your blood sugar. The main problem with fried vegetables is that you get a combination of easily digestible starch from the vegetable itself, like potatoes or the batter used, and large amounts of added fats from the frying oil. Now, while fat doesn't directly raise your blood sugar, it can slow down how quickly your stomach empties. This might sound like a good thing, but when it's combined with high-carb foods, it can lead to a blood sugar peak that's delayed but often prolonged and higher, making it much harder to manage. On top of that, the batters and coatings used in many fried vegetable dishes are usually made from refined white flour, which adds another layer of fast-acting carbohydrates that contribute to those glucose spikes. Fried vegetables you get from restaurants are often particularly problematic. This is because of the large portion sizes and the types of oils they use, which can be high in unhealthy trans fats or saturated fats if the oil isn't changed regularly. Even when you prepare fried vegetables at home, they can be detrimental unless you're very careful. The choice of oil does matter, of course. Some oils are healthier for cooking, but the frying process itself and the added carbs are still the core concern when it comes to blood sugar. Hidden carbs are another trap to watch out for. They can lurk in seasoned coatings or thick batters. So, if you want to enjoy vegetables without messing up your blood sugar control, it's best to opt for healthier cooking methods like roasting, grilling, steaming, or stir-frying with just a little bit of oil. These methods help preserve the nutritional benefits of vegetables without all the added fats and refined carbohydrates that come with frying. And we should also mention specific concerns with items like fried white flour tortilla chips, which combine refined flour with frying, making them a powerful source of carbs that get absorbed very quickly. Meal planning strategies. So, how can we manage these? Well, thoughtful meal planning can make a really big difference when you're trying to include some of these potentially problematic vegetables in your diet. One effective strategy is something called vegetable sequencing. Research actually suggests that if you eat non-starchy vegetables before you eat carbohydrate-rich foods, it can lead to a lower glucose response after your meal. So you might want to try starting your meal with a salad or a serving of green vegetables. Beyond that, always try to combine starchy vegetables with sources of lean protein and healthy fats. This combination of three helps slow down the absorption of carbohydrates, which can blunt those blood sugar spikes. For example, if you're going to have a small portion of potatoes, try pairing it with grilled chicken and a large side of broccoli. If you use a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, it can give you personalized insights that help you understand how specific foods and combinations affect your own body. And when you're dining out or in social situations, take a moment to scan the menu for non-starchy options first. Don't be afraid to ask for starchy items to be served in smaller portions or as a side dish to a protein-rich main course. So, to wrap things up, while no vegetable is completely off limits if you have diabetes, understanding which ones can significantly impact your blood sugar is absolutely essential for managing it effectively. By being mindful of your portion sizes, how you prepare your food, and the overall composition of your meals, even these 5 potentially tricky vegetables can occasionally find a place in a well-balanced diabetic meal plan. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Has this information changed how you'll think about vegetables in your diabetic meal plan? Please share your experiences with managing these challenging foods in the comments below. Or you can subscribe to receive more evidence-based nutrition advice for diabetes management.